Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and we are at it again. It's week one, and it's time to look at the props for upcoming games this weekend. We've got a lot of action. The NFL officially kicked off yesterday as we're recording this, and what a fun time it was. If you're a Lions fan, at least, ooh-wee, what a crazy game that was. Andrew Erickson's back again, as always, to help us break down his favorite 5 props of the week, and we brought in a heavy hitter. You know him from Sirius XM Saturday mornings. You know him from the mean streets. Chris Meaney. He's also a superhero. Canadian kindness himself. There he is, Chris Meaney. Meaney, it was just a couple weeks ago. We were having breakfast together in New York. Here we are. It's football time. We're hanging out. What's it like now? Because after that breakfast, you got engaged. So has life changed for you now that you're in football season and now technically, wedding planning might have begun?
Yeah, I mean, no changes. It's just it maybe changes for Dee, but not for me. She bought a wedding planner book, so I mean, I guess they do that kind of thing.
Oh, the binder.
Binder.
We got the binder too. We got the binder.
Listen, whoever makes these wedding planner binders and books, they must make a fortune because, for Deanna, she didn't care at all. She didn't care at all about the wedding quotations, didn't care. And then after, as soon as we got back from New York, we got a couple books and, fiance.
If you think fantasy football research for dudes is bad, you ain't seen nothing to wedding planning. And Erickson knows because he's in the thick of it. Erickson, how's that binder going on? You have specific metrics on specific DJs and bands and, different appetizers. Like, how's that working out for you?
Oh, all this stuff. But the binder keeps you organized, keeps everything. It's your one-stop shop, like some of these good data suites that we have. So I think it's a great thing. And yeah, the corollaries to fantasy, it's undeniable.
And
I'm collecting black books, Joe, and she's collecting wedding planner books. But I'm here for the black books.
Let me tell you something too. I think this is a good equation. Like, if you are looking for the wedding binder of your fantasy football betting season, then it's the BP app. It's the all-new design Betting Pros app. Look at that segue. Highly professional around these parts. But in all honesty, make sure you sync all your sports books and make sure you are betting on the app because that's how you find the best odds for everything. And that's what we're trying to do here too. Plus, you also got the prop bet cheat sheet and the prop bet analyzer too, which are enormously helpful tools. They're my favorite things. We've been doing this all baseball season over on our MLB channel, and we're going to be doing it again here on NFL. If you go to your Betting Pros app and look at the prop bet cheat sheet, you're going to see the Fantasy Pros points projections versus, of course, the actual lines and then where the best odds are. So if you haven't seen this feature, and I know a lot of people are still new to BP, check out the prop bet cheat sheet because this is going to be the perfect situation. You could sort by game. You could sort by the different kinds of props. It's perfect. And again, to see those fantasy projections in terms of the yardage, in terms of the passing totals, all that stuff, it's all right there. So you're using all the FP tools and the BP tools, and it's just going to equate to money. And at the end of the day, we'll have a really nice reception at the end. Maybe a nice honeymoon if we make enough, Chris Meaney. Maybe if we make enough. All right, let's get after it. Let's start with one of our favorite props of the week. Chris Meaney, you're our guest, so let's start with you. What do you have for the people?
All right, I'll start us off. A tight end, TJ Hockenson, over 4.5 catches. I'm seeing the best number over at DraftKings at -105 using the prop shop over at ftmbets.com. I really just like the usage right away. He was kind of used differently in Minnesota than Detroit, the smaller A dot, not deep down the field, but 86 targets in 10 games with Minnie. That's a healthy number. 60 catches, over 500 receiving yards, 6 catches per game. For perspective, Travis Kelce led all tight ends with 6.4 catches per game. And if you pace out what he did in Minnesota over a full season, Hockenson, he lands at 102 catches. I don't think that's an outlier. He has a season roughly with 102 catches already on his resume. And again, Kelce led all tight ends with 110 catches. So at least 8 targets in 7 of his first 9 games with Minnesota. That playoff game leaned heavily. 11 targets, 10 grabs, over 129 yards. Oh, actually 129 on the button against the Giants. It was his second 100-yard game, 4th with double-digit targets, 3rd with double-digit catches with Minnesota. The matchup against the Vikings, if you look at fantasy points per game, last year allowed to the position, top 12 in terms of catches and yards, 2 tight ends. And as I mentioned, just thrown into the fire right away, middle of the season, a 21% target share, really not even knowing the playbook. So I think there's room to grow here in Kevin O'Connell's offense. He immediately passed Adam Thielen as the number 2 option behind Justin Jefferson, especially inside the end zone and the red zone as well. I like Jordan Addison, right? He is a rookie after all. I do believe he'll be the 3rd option in this offense. And I don't know if Minnesota's going to have a lot of success running the football. So we're starting here with TJ Hockenson. I'm a little shy of the receiving yards. I think his number's at like 50 in some spots. So I'm just going to take the catches over 4.5.
I absolutely love this. Usually Friday into Saturdays when I start putting my prop bets together. And when I saw this number on your list here on the little show sheet that we do here for the program, I immediately said, what? Let me go bet that, because that's nuts. I have so many shares of Hockenson, but Andrew Erickson knows that already. All right, Erickson, let's get to you. Give me one of your favorite props for week one. What do you have for the people?
Yeah, I'm going to the Baltimore Ravens. We love the Ravens this week as heavy home favorites, and that screams, let's run the football. And that screams J.K. Dobbins over 56.5 rushing yards, minus 115. Look, when Dobbins was healthy at the second half of last year over those last 5 games, he went over this mark in every single game. Like, Dobbins is going to hit at least 60 rushing yards if he's out there as the RB1 against the Texans, who have been a bottom 5 unit, not just last year, not just over the 2 years. Last 3 seasons against the run, it's because they're always trailing in games. Not even necessarily because their personnel is so horrible. It's just teams get the chance to run the football on them. So when you're a 10-point home favorite, I think the Ravens are going to have chances to run the football, and they've been keeping J.K. Dobbins in bubble wrap. I think they're going to unleash him against the Texans, and I think he's going to fly over this number.
I love it. I'm here for it. I agree 100%. Plus, when you talk about the game script there, you imagine there's a pretty good lead here. So you imagine that Dobbins will get some work there too. So the volume plus the opponent looks good to me. Also, don't forget, everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, and you should be, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop a comment below because you could win an Aaron Jones autographed jersey thanks to us, because we like giving free stuff away here at Betting Pros. So make sure you do that. And remember to click that bell till it goes ding so you know if you're the big winner. Again, subscribe, drop a comment. Pretty easy to win free stuff. Aaron Jones jersey's not going to give away itself, folks, so you've got to make the effort, but it's a minimal effort. Don't worry about that. Chris Meaney, you always make the maximum effort when it comes to some of these prop bets. What do you have for us? What's number 2 on the big list this week for week 1?
What a host. I don't have any Aaron Jones props. I wish I did.
I
wish I had a Jones prop right now to like double down on that giveaway.
You know what?
That's fantastic.
You kind of failed us as a show because you didn't have it. But
I did, yeah.
I'll let it go.
Man, tough spot, right, for CJ Stroud in Baltimore. First start. Good luck, kid. I love the call there, Erickson, for sure. Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, we know that he's one of the best pure runners in football. He's never had a season under 5 yards per carry. He's had 1,000 yards every single season besides his rookie campaign. I think he was like 3 or 4 yards away from 1,000 yards, coming off historic, like his best season, like on the resume, 1,500 rushing yards. Like, he is an absolute freak. But I'm going to go in a different way. I've never actually taken a Nick Chubb receiving yard prop or a catch prop because Kareem Hunt's always in the way. This guy is an issue. In his rookie season, Chubb racked up 17 catches, on 20 targets, like in his final 7 games. It was just over 2 catches per game. And in his sophomore season, he was on pace for 50 grabs. Like, he had 25 catches in his first 8 games. At the halfway point, the team brought in Kareem Hunt. A lot of people look at Chubb and it's like, he can't catch. I've been to First Energy Stadium twice. I know. I went to 2 home Cleveland games. One where Hunt wasn't on the squad and he had 5 catches and a couple like highlight reel grabs. I'm like, wow, this guy's a player. And then they brought in Hunt, like I mentioned, and it just went away because Hunt was a really good pass catching back. And now he's gone. So you remove 40 plus targets, you remove 120 carries, you remove all that nonsense of, sometimes inside the red zone and it's Hunt in there instead of Chubb. So I just feel like we're going to see Nick Chubb reach a potential that I guess a ceiling we haven't seen from him. I think he could have 2,000 total yards this year. And I believe that he will flirt with that 1,400, 1,500 yard range. And if he can get 400 to 450 as a pass catching back out of this backfield, I know Deshaun Watson has looked rusty over the past couple, I guess last year for sure. The preseason games I watched him, I wasn't thrilled. But when we saw him in Houston,
he got better.
I know he hooked up with Njoku and Murray there. It got a little bit better. But when we saw him in Houston, he was running a lot. He wasn't really checking down. But the final couple games of last season between these two guys, I know they only played 6 games together, but Chubb caught 10 passes. The very last game, he had 5 catches on 6 targets for 45 receiving yards. He had a receiving touchdown. So maybe, just maybe, it's a sign of things to come. 12.5 at minus 118 over at Bet Rivers. It's one catch, right? So I think he will get a couple targets, maybe 1 or 2 catches here in a close game, a division rival. So I'm going to take a shot here, and I think it's something that maybe books are unaware of at the moment with the 12.5, right? They don't really view him as a big pass catching back. And
yeah, but you know what, to your point too, until somebody proves that they're going to step into that Kareem Hunt role, why not Nick Chubb? Why not keep him on the field? He's your best player. But that's music to our ears because I'm the president of the Chubb Club and Andrew Erickson is the vice president. So that's nice, very good. By the way, I'm waiting for my shirt. Like, I don't know. I saw the picture of it the other day. I haven't gotten it yet. I mean, let's go. Erickson, let's get back to you. Give me another prop. What do you have on your list this week?
Yeah, so this is our one under. We have a lot of optimism on this show here.
Life's too short for unders. That's what
exactly.
Scott Bogman says.
Except when it comes to this particular tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts. I'm going under on Kyle Pitts, 38.5 receiving yards, because until Arthur Smith shows a willingness to actually get this guy the ball, I can't trust it. Like, I need to see it first. So Kyle Pitts, during the preseason, had bad route participation. Like, he was not running a lot of routes compared to the starters on the offense, compared to a Drake London. I think that the Falcons aren't going to have to do a lot in this game against the Panthers. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I don't think Bryce Young behind that offensive line is really going to put up that much of a fight against a revamped Falcons defense. There's a reason why this total is so low in a dome. It's a bad game that does not get us excited for points. So Kyle Pitts, who was just recently listed as the co-starter on the depth chart with Jonnu Smith. Is this guy going to have does this scream? Oh, Kyle Pitts, massive game coming. Not for me. Last year, he went over this number 3 times in 10 games as the focal point of that offense.
Last year was so bad with Mariota too.
Yeah, but why in this one game, why in this game is like, are we going to see Ritter throw the ball 40 times against the Panthers and a rookie quarterback?
And let me tell you, the Panthers are in trouble in this game too because Thielen's at 100%. DJ Shark might not play. I mean,
he just got ruled out.
Did he get ruled out just now? Okay, that just happened, right? So, I mean, it's going to be Mingo. It's going to be Terrace Marshall. It's going to be that offensive line. I'm starting to look at that Atlanta Falcons. And if you check out our DFS show, I'm sure Debo and I are going to be talking about that. That could be a sneaky little low roster play. I know you're a big DFS guy, but it's time to get back to props. Meaning, give me another thing you have on the slate for week 1.
I'll go with DJ Moore, another over. Yeah, I'm coming in here hot with overs. I like the under.
Yeah,
Erickson.
let's go.
I dig it. They are going to run the rock a lot.
I had to throw one under it because it's like when you first start the game, you're winning. All right, you're already winning.
And it's probably going to be a game that's over pretty quickly, Atlanta and Carolina. Like, if Carolina can't move the ball and Atlanta's just running nonstop, it may be one of those games that's over before you know it. But I'm going to go with DJ Moore, new shiny toy here for Justin Fields. And the receiving yard prop here is only 49.5. I'm going to take the over at -112. Again, that's at Bet Rivers. 2 catches from DJ Moore in the preseason with Justin Fields. Very small sample size, but he racked up 102 yards on those 2 grabs. You can see the explosiveness on full display. He always has been, since he's entered the league, is one of the best yak monsters in the NFL. 14.5 yards per catch over the course of his career, 65 yards per game. Poor quarterback play, I think, his whole career. He had Cam Newton towards the end of that MVP season, which was an outlier season. He's had like Kyle Allen and Sam Darnold. It's just been awful quarterback play, right? And I get it that Justin Fields, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I get it that Justin Fields hasn't really shown us a whole lot in terms of accuracy, but I don't want to go too far ahead. But remember Josh Allen stepped forward when they brought in Diggs, Jalen Hurts last year when they brought in AJ Brown. I think that Fields will definitely be the number 1 target, which is a run-first offense. They got a bunch of backs there, and Fields, which will run a lot. But if you looked at those 2 throws, they weren't even great throws. Like they were awful throws, and he still was able to rack up, I think, a 56-yard touchdown, and the other one was roughly 50 yards as well. So the matchup's okay. I expect kind of both teams to run the football, but we don't need a whole lot here. If you go back to 2019 in terms of the most yards among wide receivers, he's inside the top 10. He just doesn't have the touchdowns like the other guys. We just need a couple grabs here to get to the 50-yard mark. So let's see the new shiny toy and what he can do for the new quarterback right away.
Yeah, and look, everybody believes that the Bears can be more competitive this year. They had a good draft, they had a good offseason, and they have Justin Fields has to take that. Yeah, Justin Fields has to take that next step forward. Hopefully he can and look a little bit more in the passing game like he did at Ohio State. And if you could do that, well, good things are going to happen. And speaking of being competitive, we want to compete against you, and we want you to compete against us. The NFL contest is going on at BettingPros. The winner gets an autographed Jackson Smith and Jigba jersey. Every week we're giving away stuff. We're giving away Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros swag. We're giving away upgrades to Betting Pros, to Fantasy Pros. All you have to do is go to the community tab over on the BP app and find NFL contest and join. That's it. That's all you got to do. Or just go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest. I'm in there. Erickson's in there. Come compete against us. If you're the winner that week, I'm going to talk about you. I'm on the show. I'm going to make you famous every week. If nothing, come join us for that. And again, we're giving away a ton of stuff here. We want to have fun this year. We want you to pick games. And you don't have to be making the bets. All you got to do is make the picks. Just 5 every week. That's it. And you got to make 100 through the year. And every single week, every single month. And the overall winner is getting prizes. So prizes everywhere. I love prizes. Erickson, working with you, I always say is a prize. You know, every single day I get to see your face. Give me another prop, Erickson, that I can make some money on this week.
All right, here's my stone cold lock from the props prophet. Here we go.
All right,
Deshaun Watson.
Let's go.
Deshaun Watson over 23.5 rushing yards, minus 110. Look, last year Deshaun Watson was averaging 30 rushing yards per game. He was frequently scrambling during the preseason. We've kind of figured this out with him coming back from so much time missed, still getting used to the new pass catchers, the new offense, still kind of getting his feet wet, and he's running around. So in a game where third highest total on the slate, I think there's going to be plenty of dropbacks for Deshaun Watson where if there's no one open or he doesn't feel comfortable driving the ball down the field, like he's going to take off and run. So I think that this number, especially when you look at some of these other numbers for rushing quarterbacks, like Watson's is so low. So for me, the betting props, bet analyzer has it at 28.5 rushing yards. So that's putting him 5 yards over this total here. And like I said,
that's
from last year, like
that's a big number. 5 is a lot.
He was
actually.
30.
Yeah.
He was at 30 rushing yards per game last year. So I think Watson's definitely going to fly over this, especially in a game that if it shoots out, he's going to be scrambling with a lot of dropbacks.
This is actually, I have my weekly best bets video here on the channel. And this was my number 2, which was the Browns on the money line upsetting the Cincinnati Bengals. And
I like it.
The reason is because, they do get after the quarterback. Myles Garrett's going to get after the quarterback. They are going to do that. And with Joe Burrow still coming back off that injury, my concern is, evasiveness in the pocket being a problem, or him having to, make quick decisions to just throw the football away because he's not going to extend plays because he doesn't want to push too far. I'm concerned about that. And I think Cleveland's going to come out blazing, I think, in this one, personally. I think they've got a lot to prove. I think they realize that. We saw the Lions had a lot to prove Thursday. You're getting some plus money on that one, too. So if you want to see that whole video, again, go check it out over on our Betting Pros YouTube channel, which I'm sure you've all subscribed to because you're all smart and handsome or attractive. All right, Chris Meaney, back to you. Let's do another prop. What do you have here for the people?
Erickson, he better check it down to Chubb at least once before he runs for those.
No, don't worry.
We're going to be heavily invested. Well, 3 of us are already heavily invested in that Cleveland-Cincinnati game. I can feel it already.
The quarterback rushing market is a sneaky market to dive into. You just kind of alluded to it, Erickson. Like, it's a low number. And Mahomes, for example, yesterday was 14.5, and he cruised past that. I think he had 3 runs of at least 15 yards yesterday, something silly like that. So I'm going to talk about a third tight end on the show, and it's Darren Waller. We're going to go over again. It's a similar number as TJ Hockenson, over 4.5 catches, minus 105 over at DraftKings. It's a very small sample size between him and Daniel Jones in the preseason. It was the first drive, and he picked up 3 catches on 4 targets in that opening drive, a whopping 44% target share. Now, of course, it's very unsustainable, but when Brian Daboll does things, I just listen. He acquired Darren Waller in the offseason, and I fully believe that the offense is going to run through Waller. They got a lot of other pieces in the offense. It kind of reminds me of KC. You got Kelsey and everybody else. We're all trying to figure out who that KC wideout is. And we're all going to try to figure out all year which Giants wideout is the guy for Daniel Jones after Darren Waller. So I believe this offense will run through him. Dak is undefeated against the Giants. Their defense has improved. They should be better stopping the run, but I expect the Cowboys to put up some points. And if this game does get out of hand, we should see some targets here for Darren Waller. So I'm taking the over 4.5.
That's a great number, by the way, Meaney. That is a tremendous number.
It's too low. It's Sunday night, so it's probably going to get bet up before we get to Sunday night. I would expect that to get 5.5.
You're right.
Or so.
Lock this in as soon as you're listening to the show. Lock it in right now, because that 4.5, I could see that going all the way up to 5.5, if not even 6.5. I think as time gets on, you really see that right now. All right, let's get to another one of yours here. And I love this one, Erickson, because this is a perfect game script. I don't think there's going to be a lot of good game scripts for Brian Robinson all season if you're the Washington Commanders, but it feels like this is the one. On paper, this one makes a lot of sense because Arizona Cardinals, I think from a roster perspective, are lacking. Would you agree?
I do agree, and that's why I'm pounding the over on Brian Robinson, over 58.5 rushing yards, minus 110. Look, when he was healthy last year after he came back from his gunshot wound, week 6 onward, he was averaging
Can I
the
just
4th
pause for
most
a
carries.
second? What a strange thing for us to say. Can we just when he returned from his gunshot wound? Like, I mean, that's
what
just
happened.
I know, but
Yeah.
like it's still so surreal that we just say that and we just gloss over it. Like, yeah, when he pulled that hamstring, it's
And
just
he was
crazy.
awesome after that
He
too.
was.
Like, what a thing to
Unbelievable.
overcome. My goodness.
Erickson has a stuffy nose and he's missing 2 days. That guy got shot and came back and was running the ball 2 weeks later. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that describes me to a T. But he ranked 4th. He ranked 4th in carries per game, just around 18, and averaged over 70 rushing yards per game. Top 10 in PFF's grading. So, look, you hit it. You hit it initially, Joe, where Brian Robinson, there's not a lot of spots where you're going to feel confident playing him. The Commanders are never going to be favored in 7 points against any other team in the NFL. So this is the spot you want to play Brian Robinson in fantasy, and you want to bet his overs at 58.5 rushing yards.
All jokes aside, Erickson's a warrior. Erickson shows up when he's not feeling well. Erickson shows up all the time. I just like breaking his chop because I can. All right, Meaney, here we go. Let's close things out strong here. You guys have had some great ones. You had Hockenson on the over and 4.5 receptions. You had Nick Chubb, 12.5 receptions over. You had DJ Moore over 49.5 receiving yards. Darren Waller over the 4.5 receptions, which is a great one. And what's the last one you have? Because I think we're going back to Washington, aren't we?
Yeah, let's stick with Washington. I think we're going to see Arizona as one of the worst teams ever assembled. At DK, you can get 4-1 for them to be the last team to pick up a W. I easily, with confidence, the under 4.5 win total. This is an awful team. Gannon's going to have his hands full to try to get this team motivated to win some games. They've already shipped off a bunch of players. So love the call with Brian Robinson there. And I'm going to stick with Jahan Dotson. I thought he had a great rookie campaign. 7 touchdowns, is tied for the most among rookies. He only played 12 games, 7 red zone targets, 4 behind Terry McLaurin, played 5 fewer games than Terry. He was used deep down the field, 13.9 ADOT. That ranked 4th among wideouts with 60 targets. Big play guys like Gabe Davis, George Pickens, Chris Olave, 14.9 yards per catch inside the top 10 at the wide receiver position too. So, deep down the field, explosive with the ball in his hands. You look at overall targets, you're not excited about 5 per game, but he racked up 35 over his final 5. That's 7 per game. In those final 5 games, he had 3 touchdowns, hit the century mark once, top 70 yards twice. And he also started very strong too. First 4 games, he had 22 targets before suffering an injury that really kept him sidelined till week 10 and limited till week 13. So we're talking about Arizona here. I agree. I don't know if Washington's going to be favored. They shouldn't be favored by a touchdown at any other point this season.
This one feels right.
They're going to be a bottom 5 team, and they are favored by a touchdown here. So over 42.5, minus 115 over at Caesars.
If this game goes sideways for them, holy cow. Like, it's going to be Ron Rivera might as well start packing his bags now. All right, Erickson, so far you've hit us with some really good ones. You had 2 over in that game with Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, the 23.5 rushing over. You had Meaney had the other one. He had Chubb. You had J.K. Dobbins, 56.5 over on the rushing yards. Pitts on the under, 38.5 receiving yards. Boo, but still probably right. Brian Robinson, you just talked about 58.5 rushing yards. Again, the over on that one. So, Erickson, let's finish strong. What do you have for the people week 1? What's another prop bet people should be on?
Yep, going back to running back, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rachaad White over 2.5 receptions, minus 150.
Good one.
Look, last year, 6 of 7 games played when he was the starter, he went over this number. He was catching passes out of the backfield because the Buccaneers can't block. Now, the Brady offense is going with throwing the ball more than this offense I expect from this offense in particular. But in a game where they're up against the Vikings on the road in the dome, like the Vikings are going to put up points. So Mayfield's going to be having to throw the ball a lot, and he's a dump off savant. And he's going to look at White as his check down option pretty early and often because their offensive line can't block. So it would not surprise me at all if we see this overhit like the first half, where Rachaad White, first play, dump off the White because Baker Mayfield's not going through his progressions. He's not hitting Mike Evans downfield. And instead, he's just checking the ball down to his running back that he did very frequently with Kareem Hunt and their day spent in Cleveland. So I think White over 2.5 receptions. I feel pretty good about this one.
And Erickson, you're a bit of an overachiever. I see you got something else in there you want to tell the people about. Is that correct? I see a little Christian Kirk stuff there for you, or is that just a bonus that was a hidden gem?
So I saw Meaney put a bonus in the show sheet. So I added bonus. One as we both added an anytime touchdowns.
I see you. Look at you. You guys are the best.
This can be fun. This can be a fun little thing we do. Anytime touchdown bets.
I like this. All right, so anytime touchdown. Erickson, you've got the floor. Who's yours for the week?
All right, so mine is Christian Kirk at plus 150. I know Calvin Ridley's the new shiny toy in Jacksonville, but still Christian Kirk was really productive last year with Trevor Lawrence. It's game one. Last year, Kirk was 5th in red zone targets, and he scored 3 touchdowns against the Colts in 2 games. So we know the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to score points in this game, and I think when they get into the red zone, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to go back to his guy, who was Christian Kirk last year. I think Kirk finds the end zone.
Meaney, go ahead. Extra credit. What do you have for the people? I love you guys. You guys are the best.
Back in the day, remember when we used to call touchdowns, right? We used to do that pretty good job at that.
I was going to say, we kind of invented that, I feel like, on that show. Chris Meaney and I, for those who don't know, we did a radio show together for a couple years, ourselves and Jake Seeley, and now you're stuck with Jake again. I don't know what kind of bet you lost there, but whatever. And then Chris Meaney and I hosted a DFS show and some betting shows and things like that for another couple years. We've been working together for so long, and we used to do this thing with this touchdown call contest, which we brought over here to Fantasy Pros, and it was a wild success, and we used to be money on this. Like, we were crushing this bad boy. So if you're doing this again and you're back in on this, I think the people should listen. So what do you have?
I did a little old school vibes here. Jamaal Williams. I don't love the matchup really against the Titans.
It's a weird
They're
one.
A great run defense, right? I'm not in on his rushing yard prop. I could see the under. I think his rushing yard prop's like 53.5. I could see him getting under that, but there's no Kamara. There's no Kendrick Miller. Like, he's not ruled out yet, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to play in this game. And he's the goal line back, Jamaal Williams. I mean, last year he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns, red zone rushing attempts. The offensive line is good with the Saints. If they get down in the red zone, I know people are, well, but Taysom Hill. Stop it. That's over. I fully believe that is over.
It's the Jimmy Graham package now. That's what they want.
That is something that I could see. Jimmy G with a touchdown there. I could see that, a 1-yard touchdown. Yeah, and then he retires on the spot. I could see that for sure. But I'll go with Jamaal Williams. And I want to reference, I know you guys have a lot of great tools at Fantasy Pros, but I want to reference the prop shop, which is a free tool. And Erickson brought up the catch prop 2.5 minus 150. Like, if you just type in Google search for Rachaad White, I see minus 125 for the over 2.5 catches. So you can get the best possible number.
Nice.
For Jamaal Williams, FanDuel's hanging minus 135. DK's minus 125. BetMGM is plus 150 for him to have a touchdown. And then you can get even crazier if you want. 2 touchdowns, 10-1. FanDuel's 5-1. 3 touchdowns, 50-1. Over at BetRivers, BetMGM is 25-1. So I'm not saying he's going to come in with 3 tutties, but it's that will save you a lot of time and save you a lot of cash. And if you do like to sprinkle a couple like double-digit touchdowns, like put small units on it, and I think you can, if you hit one of those, you're going to be profitable for the month.
Yeah. All right. Before I let you go, your Eagles are facing our Patriots this weekend. Do you have a final score here in mind of that game or prediction you'd like to lay on us before we close out today?
24-20. Philly.
Oh, wow.
So Patriots cover, right?
Yeah. It's I think it's
Joe
tight.
was on yesterday talking about the Patriots covering this game. So there you go.
I think it's going to be really tight. I do have some concerns about the offense. I'm sure Bill and Brian will fix that a little bit. But the defense is solid. Jalen Hurts didn't have any tosses at all through preseason, and that does bother me a little bit. New offensive coordinator and new defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. I think they could start off pretty slow, and Brady at halftime, boys will be fired up. So I think that it'll be a very, very tight game, but the Eagles can pull it out. It should be rocking. Yeah.
Tom Brady runs out in his suit screaming, "Let's go!" It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Chris Meaney, you can follow him on the Twitter machine or X or whatever the hell it is today over at Chris Meaney. Check out his amazing work, Sirius XM. What time's that show on SXM, by the way, on Saturdays?
Yeah, Saturdays from 9 to 11
9
Eastern.
to 11. There you go. 9 to 11. I was close. I was in the ballpark, and I'll listen to it on the way to flag football tomorrow when I'm coaching. Nice. Andrew Erickson, always a pleasure seeing you. Make sure you follow him over at bettingpros.com/Erickson. When you have the app, you could follow your favorite bettors. You could follow, obviously, the people who are climbing up those leaderboards. Join our NFL contest there. Click the community tab. Join. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, and comment below, and you could win that Aaron Jones jersey. We're giving it away soon. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Chris Meaney and Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.